That means basically a minimum amount of respect for everybody. Meaning, even if they don't like know code, or you like and you're a techie, or if they don't know the business and you're a business person, your minimum assumption is that they're there to contribute. So you treat everybody equally, and you leave your ego aside. Which, of course, we know that never happens, right? People come in with egos and agendas and want to be significant and be seen, and right? We know that happens. The other thing, though, is automation. This is why all of you infrastructure engineers, you absolutely must master some kind of provisioning configuration tool infrastructure as code. You have to. You can't manage 15,000 systems by click provisioning. You're not going to. You're not going to do Google or LinkedIn or Facebook. None of those guys, by the way, ever log into machines. They just don't do it, unless they're doing like deep packet inspection. But they use automation. That's one of the hallmarks of DevOps. The other is measurement, which I also translate as visibility. Show your work. Show them what you're doing. Show them what you built. Give them metrics dashboards. Why is everybody so hot on dashboards? You know why? Because if they can't see it, you didn't do anything. I'm not knocking you. I work behind the scenes all the time. No one sees the stuff I do until they're like, well, the website's down. That's because the database is down. Where's the database? I know where it's at. It's in my head. It's out here in my account. They can't see it. That's why dashboarding and visualization and UI design is winning, because it completes the story. If it's just inside your head, it doesn't matter. But if you can go over and show your boss, remember that Cloudcraft.io thing that I was showing you yesterday, right? It can go and look at your account and then draw a diagram, and you can say, hey, by the way, this is what we got out here. Guess what happens? Everything becomes real. And you know what else happens? They start to believe you. You're like, I built 20 servers. Show me. Oh, okay. Well, here's the console. Oh, and by the way, here's a diagram, right? Oh, and by the way,
that's what we're trying to build. Remember that?
Here's a living diagram.
That's what we're trying to build.
It shows all the connections. So Cloudcraft.io, for example, will constantly scan your account and update diagrams in real time.
And the collaboration, we're trying to get all that in place.
Yeah. By the way, this is why Slack is popular,
Remember?
right? Because it's asynchronous communication. By the way, don't go into Slack and go, are you there? Are you there? Are you there? It's for asynchronous communication, not for synchronous, right? Here's Ansible. By the way, Prometheus, which I wrote up here earlier, is a visibility tool. So is Elastic, which is the Elasticsearch Kibana, right? So is Grafana. Wow, can't even spell that. Graphite. Datadog. There are so many tools out here, right? I don't care what tool you use. Pick a tool that tells a story. This isn't about some kind of false Hollywood narrative. This is about you showing what you're doing. Because, by the way, if you can show it, they believe you. Last but not least, sharing. Now, here's the funny thing. When I say sharing, people are like, well, sharing is caring. That's what we're talking about, right? No. Your Git repo that shows the code that you wrote to get to the 20 servers that you just showed them, that's you sharing documentation. You writing a wiki page that says, look, I had 30 seconds, here's what I got. Here's my Git repo, I wrote this down. If you change this, this, and this, here's the README file. Guess what? Dirty, fast documentation. That's another way of showing visibility, but you're sharing it. Now, are people going to remember that you wrote documentation? No, they're not.
They're going to remember if you didn't.
They're going to remember if you didn't.
And they'll copy when you do.
They will copy you. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, my documentation at Honeywell was stolen by somebody else. And they're like, I just published a fresh blog. I was like, that paragraph is literally from my section on Docker that you stole, which is totally fine. Well, it's not publishing, right? But this also, by the way, reflects things like pull requests, meetings, right? Which I abhor, by the way. There's only like really 3 or 4 reasons to hold a meeting: problem solving, education, and socializing. If we sat here and all we did, and I don't drink, by the way, but if all we did was sit here and talk about drinking for the next hour, we would remember that conversation. We'd all be a little bit closer. We'd be more likely to help. The next time she asked me for skill sets, I would get right on it because I'm a slacker, right? That's what would happen, right?
He called you a slacker, man.
Yeah, I go, it's slacker, right? My point being is that sharing is not just about the code we write and about the documentation we write. It's also about showing up into a meeting, like 5 minutes early and saying, hey, how'd the test exam go? Did you pass? You're like, yeah, of course I passed. I had an amazing instructor. He was awesome. Right? So just remember, we can't duck the human element out of it, but That's what the sharing component is as well. These two are highly technical, and these two have technical aspects to them as vehicles, but mainly they're people focused. This is CAMS. You can find this. This is old. It's been out there for DevOps for a long time. You could add other pieces to this for DevOps, but these are the main things. 2 human pieces, 2 technical pieces. This is really what DevOps is all about. If you can get these 2 alone, even if you're not socially adept, because just so you know, you may not realize this, I'm an introvert. So when I finish here, I'm going to collapse, crawl into a cave. I won't be traumatized. I'll just be done, right? And so even if you're not excellent at these pieces, if you're excellent at these pieces and you get other people to fill in the gaps on these pieces, but Kim, she seems like she'd be great at the collaboration and sharing piece, right?
I tried, but
Right?
people freaking don't want to share.
See? But she might not be able to write a good Grafana or graphite dashboard for you, but she could go ahead and get on Slack and be like, hey, yo, what's up?
And in her emails, she just says freaking all the time.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So that would be like DevOps in a nutshell. And we teach this, by the way, as part of the modern software development and as part of the cloud administration, infrastructure, technical excellence. I don't even know what they're calling it now.
This is
Come up
what
with some awesome
this is what we're
acronyms.
trying to get to. Remember?
Yeah,
We're trying
well, we got all those.
No, they
Yeah.
can't just go to the cloud, they're changing their mindset.
Yeah, we couldn't get nobody to.
Yes.
Nobody wanted to play.
And actually, that's a good point. There, part of that, I think, and there's one thing that I feel like I would add to this.
And now you know when you go to SAP IT.
All of this, by the way, represents the rituals, habits, and invisible agreements that you have about how you treat each other. That's what a company is, right? By the way, if I were to say, Booz Allen is bureaucratic, would you agree or disagree with that statement? That it has bureaucrocy?
I would
Everybody
say,
does.
I would say it depends on meeting you're in.
No, I think every company, it's just like saying every company doesn't have politics. And that's true. I think everything has politics, but they never have bureaucracy.
But Booz Allen definitely has bureaucracy.
Yeah, I would say that's true. And that's fine. That's when you have a large company, you have to coordinate. There's a cost to that coordination, and that coordinate cost is bureaucracy. That's what happens. My point being is that you have rituals and habits that make up and agreements. By the way, most of these agreements are invisible that make up your culture, right?
Then I need to
If
have
Tommy
this deployed
stands
tomorrow.
up, takes his clothes off, and starts cussing, he's violating some implicit agreement that we've had about not taking your clothes off and not cussing in meetings, right? Hopefully. You guys are like, no, we do it all the
I
time.
don't think we have a
Yeah. Right? Dan's like, I just did that last week.
It is a
So,
fact.
fine.
Right?
Right?
think the rest of the room is empty. The rest of the floor is empty.
Yeah, maybe. So my point being is that, the purpose of DevOps in terms of changing that whole barrier that exists between any organization that prevents software delivery is about changing your culture. That happens as one agreement, one habit, and one ritual at a time, right? That's what these represent. Collaboration, habits. Automation, habits. Measurement, habits. Sharing, habits, and rituals. Those pieces make up all of this, make up this culture piece.
That's why Tommy, when a certain person says I'm hiring a DevOps guys, I'm like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Any questions about
I was
that?
like, what the hell does that mean?
That's just me riffing on
Okay,
that
very
topic. This is what we teach in the class. This is the first thing, by the way, we teach when you come to modern software development or if you come to the cloud administration. This is the first thing any of the new hires, new to Booz Allen, are going to see, is us talking about this is how you lead. This is where you start.
Yeah, I read the Bill O'Reilly book on DevOps, and that's where I learned all that.
Yeah.
Bill O'Reilly or Bill O'Reilly or O'Reilly or one of them.
O'Reilly?
The O'Reilly series.
O'Reilly series.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
not the Bill.
Not Bill
O'Reilly.
By the way, if you want to track this one to really get into it,
Oh, really?
there's a gentleman named Gene
Well, there was a
Kemp.
small version of that one, but the one, is that the one?
He runs a
the
company
one
called
that's
IT
based on
Revolution.
OpenShift? Because I saw one that's specifically for OpenShift.
By the way, know that if you decide to read the DevOps handbook, go to the last page, last couple pages. The dirty little secret of the DevOps handbook, which shows that change is hard, is that every example of change that's in the DevOps handbook, when those people left their positions because they were either promoted or went to another company, every single one of those changes rolled back to what they were before. Which doesn't say that DevOps doesn't work. What it shows is that changing a culture requires a few or one small dedicated group of people or a person who is continually pushing gently against the status quo.
Does that have to be gender?
No.
We should
Not
join
unless
the-
you want to
we
start a
should join those-
revolution.
We should join those ops
Not unless
calls.
you want to start a revolution. Right? But just remember, right, in a company, companies are dictatorships. Right? They are. We agree to that. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you start banging your head against the politics of an organization, it will react to you. Everything resists being changed.
Yep.
But if you can coax it into change, if you can convince it that change is valid, then it'll happen. But if you start pushing against an organization, the organization will fight against you. You ever done that?
Oh,
I don't know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
everybody in this room.
Everybody,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the nature of politics, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We just came off contracts that we were doing that.
And remember,
Every day.
in IT,
Oh, that's why
we're
we
all
came off the
gladiators,
contract.
right? Because with Agile, only six out of your 10 projects are going to fail. Listen to that. 60% of the time, you're going to fail with Agile. Without Agile, you're going to fail 90% of the time. Those are statistics from 2018 for software projects. What does that mean for us? That means we have to learn how to live with failure and learn from failure and grow from failure and know exactly how to navigate failure and accept failure. That's the heart of this whole thing. Because if you know that you're going to succeed only if you can get the right things in the right alignment, then when you do succeed, you're like, woo, right? But it also shows, by the way, that software is tough. Business is tough. Do you know that 95% of businesses fail in 10 years? And those that remain, the owners operate below the poverty line in terms of income. So,
That's hard to believe.
isn't it hard to believe? Go to the Small Business Administration, SBA.
Is that what they're reporting to the IRS? Seriously? I mean, just because I see my friends that own their own businesses and they all look like they're living below the poverty line.
Looking and actually.
Yeah.
That's for the tax return.
Yeah. So I always, these are all published statistics that are well known, whether they're veracity or not. In my experience, most small business owners are the most stressed people I've ever seen in my life.
Now that is true.
Yeah.
That is
Right? They're working 80 hours a week. And so they might be making bank, but they're spending 80 hours of vitality to get it.
Well, I'm working 80 hours.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's the whole DevOps piece. But Gene Kim's great. He's about to come out with a new book called The Unicorn Project. If you're familiar with the Phoenix Project,
Yeah.
right?
That's on my. That's
If you haven't read the
Audible
Phoenix
book.
Project, by the way, go read the Phoenix Project. You'll read it and you'll be like, this is my life. This is my life. We do simulations, by the way, of the Phoenix Project from a business perspective, which is tons of fun.
And,
So okay, my races?
and there's
Is it on
the Audible version
audio?
on.
Oh, they do. They have it on audio.
Oh yeah, they have it on
I
audio.
gotta drive home. So
Have them
I'm gonna
all.
get
Totally worth reading.
listen to.
And if you have Audible, what is it? Use Audible at all? That one, it's there, so I got it.
Especially for those long drives, you're back and forth all the time.
No, no.
All right. Anything else you want me to riff on before we roll?
So you're architecting for AWS 3-day class? What's that? 3-day. The 3-day, the web age solutions, 3-day
Dude, I went to
architecting.
3 weeks.
So that's just the standard AWS
Yeah,
course
rethink
content. So
everything the way I've done everything.
Just spending more time on the topics we
I've got to
it's
restructure
more time on
that.
the topics. They expand into like a couple other different ones. All of them are core services. There's nothing new there. It follows the exact same format. All of the AWS classes follow the same format. Pretty much module, 2 modules, then a lab. Module, 2 modules, then a lab. Now most of the labs work, so I apologize for the third one. But they all follow the same thing. The SysOps content that he's about to take, or this is going to take, same thing. Module lab or module lab, and you're going to go through every single piece, right? But there's nothing really new or like exciting. Like it's not a big data class. It's not a security class. It covers all the core aspects of architecture in more detail.
And when I'm crying, I'll let you know.
Imagine everybody here has about $10,000 for education and classing. It's the best bang for your buck.
Architecting by far is the most popular class, and will get you most of the knowledge you need to accomplish most of the other things. So if you had to choose between dev, architecting, and sysops, unless you are an infrastructure administrator, I'd recommend that you take architecting because you'll get the broadest set of knowledge. If you are an infrastructure administrator, then you have to take it. But if you're a developer or any other kind of role and you want to get the most knowledge for one class, take architecting. It'll give you the most of everything you need, even if you're a programmer. Because if you're a programmer, you're going to go look at the APIs and the SDKs anyway, so you're going to figure all that out. But if you don't know how the back end works, which is what architecting gives you, then your programming is going to be ineffective. You got to know how the system works in order to use it.
And so they give you $10,000, but only give you 40 hours a week.
All right, anybody, anything else?
Through George Mason, I take him on the weekends that I make.
All right, let's run through the home run. Let's do the last piece.
Oh, there's more?
What's the